one of my favorite people, and your favorite people, I'm sure, Jimmy Dore, did a show recently, and I would not have seen this had he not done this. But he highlighted these Israeli podcasters talking about how they view the Gaza thing. So I'm just going to share the clip from Jimmy Dore's stream because I didn't want to go dig it up on my own.
And, I'm sure I don't mean to belittle our listeners. We love you guys. But if you're listening to our words and saying, how could they be advocating to, do massive bombing, indiscriminate bombing, how could they talk about killing children? We're not advocating to target children, but forgive us if we don't give a shit.
Forgive me if we don't forgive you for not giving a shit. How about that? The entire world has kind of woken up now simultaneously to the fact that you aren't the royalty that your mother told you were.
And I have to tell you, there are plenty of American Zionists who think this way. This is not unique to Israelis.
So let's a little bit more. Here we go.
Everybody there dies. It's just the way we feel. It's just the way Israelis feel.
I wanted to just take a quick sidebar there because he said it's just the way we feel. And I want to share the thoughts on that of a very prominent Jewish Zionist thinker, Ben Shapiro. And he famously said right here, facts don't care about your feelings. This is from, February 8th of 2016. Facts don't care about your feelings, buddy. According to Ben Shapiro himself, the prominent... So going back to this, let's just rewind that just a little bit here.
It's just the way we feel. It's just the way Israelis feel. Joel and my wife was like, it'll be you or me tomorrow, or Daniela or Itai, God forbid.
Yep.
So one of the things I will say about this whole event, and that's all I'm really going to show, that go watch the whole stream, the whole clip. Jimmy always does great work, but that's how they feel. And there are facts to the contrary, that we don't care how you feel. Facts don't care about your feelings. But just to continue down this path with your boy Ben Shapiro, I dug up this clip of him recently talking about incitement. And it's interesting because if you've noticed, he's all for, calling protesters anti-Semites and getting them thrown out for, he's claiming they're inciting violence. So this is one of his most famous, clips, I guess, where he talks, he got in an argument with this girl about incitement. And I honestly agree with everything Ben says here. I just don't think that he agrees with it anymore. In fact, he clearly doesn't agree with it anymore. He's flip-flopped, to use the term. But check this out. This is actually really well said on Ben's part.
So I have a very strong standard with regard to incitement, and I'm very consistent about this. If I'm not telling somebody to commit violence, I'm not inciting them to violence. I've held the standard for Barack Obama.
If I'm not telling someone to commit violence, I am not inciting them to violence. That's pretty clear and respectable.
He was saying anti-police things, and then somebody went and shot up some police officers in Dallas. I said, that's not Barack Obama's fault. When a Bernie Sanders supporter went and shot up a congressional baseball game, I said, that's not Bernie Sanders' fault because Bernie Sanders wasn't calling for that. Political debate requires that you talk to people and people take your words as what they mean, not as an excuse to go and do violence. I've never called for violence, nor would I. As far as the idea that my words are some sort of attack, a violent attack, for example,
because he does
saying anti-police things, and then somebody went and shot up some police officers in Dallas, I said, that's not Barack Obama's fault. When a Bernie Sanders supporter went and shot up a congressional baseball game, I said, that's not Bernie Sanders' fault because Bernie Sanders wasn't calling for that. Political debate requires that you talk to people and people take your words as what they mean, not as an excuse to go and do violence. I've never called for violence, nor would I. As far as the idea...
Political talk requires that you take people's words for what they mean.
That you talk to people and people take your words as what they mean.
So from the river to the sea is definitely a call for violence, right, Ben? Let me let him finish his point before we jump into...
Not as an excuse to go and do violence. I've never called for violence, nor would I. As far as the idea that my words are some sort of attack, a violent attack, for example, on folks who are transgender, my view,
not saying
I know, but
attack.
I'm responding to the people who are not you who might say that. Okay. So the idea that I am transphobic, for example, this is a bizarre kind of attack in the sense that I don't know that I've ever exhibited phobia of trans people. I'm not afraid of trans people.
In the same way, people that are protesting Israel have not exhibited anti-Semitic tendencies. Israel does not represent all Jewish people any more than, Joe Biden represents all Christian people, or the government of the United States represents all Christian people. So it's interesting to see Ben talk like this, because this is honestly, I think, this type of commentary is why he became so popular, because it's very honest and concise and to the point. But let's listen to how he sounds nowadays for a minute. The title of this video is actually Jew-Hating Universities.
From both sides of the aisle. So, for example, Republicans yesterday put forward a resolution condemning anti-Zionism as anti-Semitism. This led Representative Jerry Nadler to suggest that anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. Now, the way that you get, the reason he's doing this is because there are people inside his own coalition who wish that Israel would just disappear, that it would be destroyed. That'd be like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib.
So again,
and he doesn't wish to condemn them.
These people are not saying they want Israel to be destroyed. None of them are saying that. These are his interpretations, which he just said in that previous clip is political speak, that if it's not a direct incitement to violence, it's not censorable. It's not actually an incitement to violence. It's how you interpret it.
So he's going to pretend that anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism are totally unrelated. The way that he gets out of this,
because they are,
particular box, since obviously Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are anti-Semites and hate Jews and Israel, the way he gets out of this box.
Okay, in the comments, if you have proof, if you have clips of them saying we hate Jews and we hate Israel, please show them to me, because I've never seen that ever in my life. I've seen them be critical of Israel's bombing campaigns, but I've never seen them. Let's go to the comments here. Willie's like, it's Ben Shapiro's fault that he can't get his wife wet. Yeah. I've played my wet ass P word clip. That was kind of one of my first ventures into content, when I clipped him over the beat for that song.
There's some whores in this house. Hold up. I said certified freak. 7 days of the week. Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah, you effin' with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word.
But see what Ben Shapiro supports attacking other countries, so he advocates violence. Yeah, I mean, listen to him. Let's keep listening to him here.
As he suggests, well, there are some Jews who are anti-Zionist. This is the favorite tactic, and the people he cites are Satmar Hasidim, which is I
would cite Simone Zimmerman and Jewish Voice for Peace,
sect of ultra-Orthodox, who, by the way,
maybe Jill Stein, also the Hasidics.
Wait, when it says they're anti-Zionist, let's be clear what they mean by anti-Zionist. What's Satmar Hasidim, this ultra-Orthodox sect, which is a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of even the Orthodox? What exactly is their belief system? Their belief system is that there should, in fact, be a Jewish country in Israel, but it should be a Davidic monarchy with the reestablishment of the Third Temple.
So already,
not quite the anti-Zionism.
Already, Ben Shapiro is going against his beliefs here. Listen to what he said here.
I have a very strong standard with regard to incitement, and I'm very consistent about this. If I'm not telling somebody to commit violence, I'm not inciting them to violence. I've held the standard for...
If I'm not telling someone to commit violence, I'm not inciting them to violence. But anti-Zionism is incitement to violence. That's what he's saying. I just want to hear that one more time.
Strong standard with regard to incitement, and I'm very consistent about this. If I'm not telling somebody to commit violence, I'm not inciting them to violence. I've held the standard for Barack Obama.
If I'm not telling someone to commit violence, I'm not inciting them to violence. Let's see what new Ben Shapiro.
The Palestinians.
This is like Ben Shapiro's alternate ego, because now he has a little bit of a beard and a leather jacket. It's like, when they had Spock, like alternate Spock with the goatee. This is like alternate universe Ben
You see
Shapiro.
every Jew obliterated from the region.
Political debate requires that you talk to people and people take your words as what they mean.
The Satmar Hasidim don't believe in a secular state of Israel. They believe in a Jewish theocracy. So if you're talking about these people as though what they actually want is for all Jews to be removed from the region, no. Actually, what they want is for there to be a Jewish monarchic theocracy in the land, complete with high priesthood and a third temple built right now, instead of what they think of as an obstacle to that, the secular Jewish state of Israel. That's what you're talking about. So you're playing a word game. When you say the Satmar Hasidim want the same thing as for...
So what he's saying is the Hasidic Jews that are against Israel, they want a more of a religious theocracy. That who cares? They're still, that doesn't mean that they're inciting violence when they say that, when they say that they're anti-Zionist. That doesn't mean that they're anti-Jewish.
For example,
they are Jewish.
Omar, that they're the same kind of quote unquote anti-Zionist. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's like saying that somebody who wants a Christian theocracy in the United States is in the same camp as someone who wants to tear down the government of the United States and replace it with a communist dictatorship. Not quite the same thing. And
it is the same thing. Their political beliefs are different, but they want complete control of the government in the way that they see things. It is the same thing.
In any case, here's Jerry Nadler. And what he's really doing here, obviously, is he's covering for Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and other members of the Democratic Party who don't actually like Israel and don't like Jews.
Unfortunately, this resolution does absolutely nothing to genuinely counter the scourge of anti-Semitism, nor does it help bring us together with the unity of purpose that this topic merits.
So this guy is like also kind of on his side, like pretending that there's a scourge of anti-Semitism. There might be now because of all the stuff Israel has been doing. They've definitely helped ramp it up, but it's not, this sentiment is not against the Jewish people. The Jewish people are part of this sentiment.
Rather, it is another attempt in a long series of veiled efforts by the GOP to weaponize Jewish lives for political gains. It is another partisan gotcha game that amounts to cheap value signaling, not serious action. But if there ever was a time for real action, it is now. Today, in the face of the largest increase in anti-Semitism, both violent and virulent, in this nation's history, we have a clear...
What is the source of that claim? That's what I want to know. What is it? Is it the ADL? Yes. Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, I got to show you this. Data on rise in anti-Semitism from Google. What's the first link that comes up? ADL. U.S. anti-Semitism incidents skyrocketed 360% in aftermath of October 7th. So the ADL is the source of that claim. And we all know how Kanye feels.
ADL is played out. Nobody knows who the ADL are. Stop giving them attention. Nobody cares about the ADL.
So right off the bat, you've got this complete farce about a rise in anti-Semitism, which is just completely untrue and manufactured. And both Ben Shapiro and Nadler buy into that. But Nadler is a anti-Semite, apparently, because he's not sufficiently militant about Israel. So I just wanted to show you what a gigantic hypocrite Ben Shapiro is and how ridiculous the claims that he's making are. And you know, I don't know how he looks at himself in the mirror when he does that. You know, he literally said unless it's a direct threat, it's not political violence. But then he'll turn around and say anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, which is basically claiming that someone who doesn't share his political belief on Israel is a racist.
Political debate requires that you talk to people and people take your words as what they mean.
The thing that he spent his entire life or his entire, career as a pundit railing against. That's literally his core issue. So how do you take these people seriously? It's fucking ridiculous.